It makes me physically sick to look at you.
Do the DNA test that will prove me right.
Don't tell me how to do my job.
Why are you
Don't tell me how to do my job.
I haven't done anything to you.
You've come in here tried to fucking act like you're so goddamn smart.
What do you mean?
You're putting your life in your hands today, my friend. Think about it.
My hands? That doesn't make any sense. Stabbing someone 151 times takes a long time. Wouldn't the police come before, like, whoever did it would be done?
Isabella, please.
How long does it take?
Do you think we're stupid?
I'm not Isabella.
Do you think we're stupid?
I am not Isabella.
Do you? Answer my question.
I don't think...
Do him and I look stupid?
I'm not insulting you.
Do we look stupid?
No.
Do you think we believe your story? Do you think we believe your story? Do you think we believe it?
No.
No, we don't believe your story. What does that tell you? We'll get to the findings.
Yeah.
Watch that detective. Watch his hands, his jaw, the way his voice cracks when he leans across the table. That is not a man running a controlled interrogation. That is a man who has been sitting across from an 18-year-old girl for hours and losing. And watch her. She doesn't flinch. She doesn't cry. She doesn't break. She asks calmly why he's being so mean.
You left her to die. Brutally, on a bathroom
I did
floor.
not murder anyone. Please
How does that
stop
feel?
accusing me of this.
Just tell me how that feels.
Please fingerprint me. Please fingerprint me. Please fingerprint me. I will show you that I am not this freaky, horrible person. I want to meet my boyfriend. He's probably worried about me.
You aren't going to meet anybody.
Her name is Isabella Guzman, and she just stabbed her mother 79 times. The blood is still on her hands. Literally. The detectives can see the cuts. Her bloody clothes are sitting in an evidence bag. Surveillance footage from an H-Mart grocery store has her on camera, covered in blood, buying items less than an hour after fleeing the scene. Her father is in the next room, ready to identify her. Every piece of evidence points to one person, and she is sitting across from two detectives insisting her name is Samantha Gonzalez, that she is 15 years old, that she is from Cincinnati, Ohio. We know that these officers have the wrong girl.
She's 110 pounds. That's really skinny. I'm 148 pounds.
Isabella, please.
Don't call me Isabella. That's
your name.
My name is not Isabella. My name is Samantha. There are people in this world that look alike, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You guys are not, like, all-knowing. You don't know everything. You're just accusing me of all this stuff that I didn't do.
We know what you know what you did, and we know who you are. We know how it happened,
Apparently not,
when it
because
happened.
you guys are completely wrong. You got the wrong girl.
The detectives thought they were watching a manipulator, a teenager trying to lie her way out of a murder charge. They thought she was acting, and that assumption would drive them to break nearly every rule of proper interrogation technique, screaming at her, insulting her, calling her soulless. What they didn't know, what no one in that room knew yet, was that Isabella Guzman wasn't lying. There were no lies in this story. Only a reality that was too disturbing to accept. She genuinely did not believe she had killed her mother. Because in Isabella's mind, the woman in that bathroom wasn't her mother. She was an evil being named Cecilia, and if Isabella hadn't killed her, the world would end. This is the story of a brutal murder, a shattered mind, and a case that asks the most uncomfortable question a courtroom can face. What do you do when someone is guilty of everything and responsible for nothing? It was the evening of August 28, 2013, in Aurora, Colorado. A Wednesday, a normal late summer night. 47-year-old Yunmi Hoi came home from a long day at her photography studio where she had been working to build a small business. She brought McDonald's for her husband Ryan. She asked about Isabella. Her daughter was last seen in the kitchen. Then she went upstairs to take a shower. Downstairs, Ryan settled in with his dinner. Remember this detail. Earlier that same afternoon, Yunmi had called the Aurora Police Department. She had asked officers to come to the house because her daughter had threatened to harm her. 4 officers responded. They spoke to Isabella. They determined the situation appeared resolved. They left. They were gone by evening.
I saw Isabella. She had a blank expression on her face. I'm not sure what happened with the knife she was carrying. It looked like she was still holding on to it. And I looked down and I saw my wife on the floor. Blood everywhere, all over the bathroom. I was talking to the dispatcher, and the dispatcher told me, make sure you get her breathing again. Get her airways open. I don't know CPR. But at that time, I looked at my wife's eyes, and I knew that she must not have made it. I just couldn't believe that it had happened like that.
Around 10 p.m., Ryan heard it. A loud thumping from upstairs, hard enough to shake the house. Then Yunmi's voice, screaming his name. He ran. The screams were coming from the bathroom. He reached the door. It was locked. He pushed, but someone was pushing back from inside. He could hear what sounded like a violent fight. He pushed harder. He could not get in. He called 911.
Isabella was in a rage like I've never seen before.
What do you mean?
Well, I could just hear her just pummeling my wife. I thought she was just hitting her with her fists.
Okay, so that thumping sound you were
Thumping sound, I thought, was Yumi maybe hitting against the wall, and Isabella just pounding her with her fists.
Okay.
So that's what I originally thought it was, and that's when I called 911.
While he was on the phone, he saw it. Blood, seeping from underneath the bathroom door, spreading across the hallway floor. Yunmi's screams had faded into silence. Then the door opened. Isabella stood there, covered in blood, blank-faced, holding a knife in her right hand, pointed downward. She didn't say a word. She didn't look at Ryan. She walked past him, down the stairs, and out of the house. Pink sports bra, turquoise shorts, still carrying the knife. Ryan went through the door. His wife was on the floor, nude, a baseball bat beneath her body, blood everywhere. He tried CPR. He could see from her eyes she was already gone. Police arrived at 10:16 p.m. Yunmi Hoi was pronounced dead at 10:28 p.m. The medical examiner would later confirm 79 stab wounds, 31 to the face, 48 to the neck, additional wounds to the torso and arms. Some reports would revise the total as high as 151 wounds when accounting for all injuries. She had also been struck with the baseball bat. It was one of the most brutal attacks Aurora police had ever worked, and Isabella was already gone. She fled on foot, still armed, still bloodied. Surveillance footage from a nearby H-Mart grocery store showed her walking in, blood-covered, buying items, then slipping into the bathroom. She left her bloody clothing and bandages behind. She told store employees she had been sexually assaulted, a lie she would later admit. A cover story. A woman took pity on her, bought her underwear and sanitary pads, even gave her a phone number in case she needed anything else. Police searched all night. Her phone was off. The manhunt stretched 16 hours. Around 11:30 the next morning, August 29th, a call came in about a possible body in a parking garage at 2851 South Parker Road. 1 officers arrived. No body, but a Jeep with a backpack and clothing nearby. And Isabella Guzman hiding under a staircase in the back of the vehicle, still wearing the blood-soaked clothes from the night before. A bloody knife was recovered close by. Undercover officers surrounded her. She spoke briefly with one, then tried to walk away. They drew their weapons. She sat down next to a bush on a raised median. She was arrested without incident, and then they brought her in.
You left her to die, brutally, on a bathroom
I did
floor.
not murder anyone.
How does
Please
that
stop
feel?
accusing me of this.
Just tell me how that feels.
Please fingerprint me, please fingerprint me, please fingerprint me. I will show you that I am not this freaky, horrible person. I want to meet my boyfriend. He's probably worried about me.
You aren't going to meet anybody.
I wish you could help us just make sense, that's all.
When you prove that I am not her, I'll be able to go.
From the first minute, she was consistent. Her name was Samantha Gonzalez. She was 15. She had run away from an abusive mother named Sabrina Hicks in Cincinnati, Ohio. She had come to Colorado to meet her boyfriend, Gabriel Adams, who was waiting for her at the French Quarter apartment complex. The cuts on her hands were from scissors. Her mother had attacked her. She had never heard of Isabella Guzman. She had never been to this house. Take fingerprints. Run a DNA test. Prove it. She kept repeating it. Confidence was striking. It's not the kind of thing you expect to hear from someone accused of stabbing her mother 79 times. The detectives were baffled. They had overwhelming evidence. They had Ryan's eyewitness account. They had the surveillance footage. They had the knife. They had her bloody clothes. They had the forensics. And they had something they thought was a trump card. They brought in her father.
Who's that? That's my baby. Okay.
Sir, do you recognize this?
Who are you?
Hey, Robert, why don't you come on back out here for a second? Do you recognize her?
Yeah, she's my daughter.
What's her name?
Isabella.
Isabella. What's her last name?
Guzman.
Isabella Guzman. Okay. This photograph here, is that photograph? Is that your daughter there?
Yeah.
Okay. And this is your daughter here?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Let's go ahead and we'll sneak back here and then we'll see about coming back later, okay?
Okay.
Following back there.
Thanks.
Is he insane? Does she have like a crazy family? Like a completely crazy family? Is that why she's psychotic and killed her mom? My name is Samantha. Who is that man?
But Isabella's reaction was entirely different. Who is that man? she asked. She claimed he must be insane and probably part of some delusional family who only thought she resembled someone else. Through it all, she never broke. Not once.
I hate you.
I know. I
My
suck.
name is Samantha.
She kept the same narrative, right to the end. My name is Samantha, but the truth was closing in, and it would soon rewrite the whole story. The detectives had never seen anything like it. They weren't equipped for it. They let their frustration lead them, screaming at her, calling her soulless. News telling her she was the most evil person they had ever sat across from. None of it landed, because you cannot intimidate someone who is not living in the same reality as you.
Okay? I don't think you're a normal person.
It took me like a week to get here.
Did you hear me? I don't think you're a normal person. I asked you when the last time you cried.
I told you I cried when I ran away.
You didn't run away from anywhere. You ran away from a crime scene is what you did.
No, I did not.
So you cried when you ran away last night?
I did not do any of these things. I am not Isabella.
Maybe
Oh,
we should just
really?
bring,
Why don't you just
Robert
bring the
down here.
DNA test?
Let's bring Robert down here.
Who's Robert?
You know who Robert is.
No, I don't.
Robert could stand right there in that doorway and identify you. You're his own flesh and blood.
Watch how every detail she gives has roots in reality, twisted beyond recognition. She says she lives at 2657 South Jamaica Circle in Cincinnati, Ohio. That address doesn't exist in Ohio. It exists in Aurora, Colorado, directly across the street from Isabella's actual home on South Jamaica Court. She says she went to Montgomery High School in Cincinnati. There's a Pine Lane Middle School in Colorado. Every fabrication is a rearrangement of something real. Her brain had taken the world she knew and rebuilt it into a different story, with different names, a different family, a different life. Not to deceive the detectives, to survive what she had done. The interrogation lasted hours. No confession. The detectives ran out of ammunition. Isabella ran out of patience. And finally, they handcuffed her and took her to a hospital to stitch her hands. My name is Samantha. She said it again as they walked her out. But that's not how this story began. To understand how an 18-year-old girl stabbed her mother 79 times and then sat in an interrogation room asking to meet her fictional boyfriend, you have to understand who Isabella Guzman was before that August night. And you have to understand how many times the warning signs were there, and how many times they were missed. Isabella Yunmi Guzman was born on June 9, 1995 in Aurora, Colorado. Her parents were Robert Guzman, who is Hispanic, and Yunmi Hoy, who was Asian American. The family identified as Jehovah's Witnesses, a detail that would later become significant in understanding Isabella's troubled relationship with her mother. Even from the beginning, things were difficult. Isabella's parents divorced when she was just 3 years old. Hoy, her mother remarried a man named Ryan Hoy, who became Isabella's stepfather. And from a very young age, Isabella exhibited behavioral problems that her parents struggled to manage. By age 7, Isabella's behavior had become so unmanageable that her mother sent her to live with her father, Robert. Family members described her as hot-tempered, withdrawn, and prone to verbal outbursts. She rarely smiled or played. She showed early signs of resentment, particularly toward her mother. No, the hope was that living with her father would help Isabella learn respect and develop better behavior, but it didn't work. Isabella continued to act out, and her relationship with her father and his new wife was reportedly difficult as well. Around age 14, Isabella returned to live with her mother and stepfather Ryan in their Aurora home near East Yale Avenue and Parker Road. And that's when things really started to deteriorate. Isabella left the Jehovah's Witnesses religion at 14, and she would later allege that the abuse at home worsened after she quit. She claimed there were physical fights with her mother that left scars on her hands. Whether or not these allegations were true, what is clear is that the teenage years brought escalating tensions, frequent arguments, and increasing violence. Isabella occupied the master bedroom with 4 dogs. She burned incense constantly, which irritated her mother. She essentially ran the household, and her mother would argue back, aimed at creating a cycle of confrontation. At age 16, Isabella saw a psychiatrist for about a month. The psychiatrist dismissed her behavior as typical teenage rebellion and expressed no concerns about her attitude or the fact that she had dropped out of school. This was a crucial missed opportunity. Looking back, experts would later identify this as a time when Isabella's schizophrenia was likely already developing, but the early signs were mistaken for normal adolescent behavior. Isabella was expelled from Overland High School approximately 3 years before the murder for bringing a knife to campus. She dropped out of high school entirely. Her record included minor offenses like shoplifting, trespassing, and drinking alcohol at school. She experimented with drugs, particularly marijuana and morphine. And she had a long-term boyfriend named Ilya Abramov, who went by Tony. They dated for years before breaking up just days before the murder, and tied with Isabella accusing him of cheating on her with their friend Kathy. friends described Isabella as mean, withdrawn, a liar, occasionally violent, and emotionless. In the weeks leading up to August 28, 2013, her behavior became increasingly erratic. She sent strange text messages to friends, including one that said, "I know what you did," and another about an astro beam awakening. She accused her mother of poisoning her and the dogs. She blamed her mother for everything wrong in her life. She showed signs of severe depression, and she began hearing voices. Here's the detail you need to hold on to. Approximately 1 month before the murder, Isabella started hearing voices, not metaphorically, not intrusive thoughts, voices, commanding her, telling her what to do, distorting everything she perceived. And in the weeks before August 28th, her behavior became unrecognizable even to the people who already thought they knew her worst. She broke up with her boyfriend Ilya, who went by Tony, after accusing him of cheating with their mutual friend Kathy. When Tony came to retrieve his belongings, she tried to attack him with a golf club. She sent Kathy a text calling her a derogatory name and ended it with, "I know what you did." Then, 2 days before the murder, she sent another text. It said, "The astro beam has awakened." She told Tony she believed her mother was poisoning her food and the dog's water, that she smelled bleach in their bowls, that she had gotten sick after eating from the fridge. She blamed her mother for everything wrong in her life. And somewhere in the collapsing architecture of her mind, she had stopped seeing Yunmi as her mother at all. Then came the moment when belief turned into intent. That morning, August 28th, she sent her mother an email. It was not addressed to Yunmi. It was addressed to Cecilia. It said, "You will pay."
Showed me an email that Isabella had written that was written to her, or written to a Cecilia. So strange email, but it came to my wife. It came to my wife, and I can't remember what the email said. It's on her phone.
Okay.
But it was very disturbing from Isabella, something very weird.
Yunmi was frightened enough that she called the police. 4 officers came, spoke to both of them, and left. Isabella's father, Robert, came to the backyard and spoke to his daughter quietly about respect and obedience. He thought it went well. He left believing the situation was resolved. He was wrong. Yunmi went back to work. She came home that evening with McDonald's. She asked about Isabella. She went upstairs to shower, and Isabella, who had been waiting in her room, got up. Ryan stayed downstairs in the living room, eating his dinner, and then it happened. Yunmi was pronounced dead at 10:28 p.m. The medical examiner would later confirm that Yunmi Hoi had been stabbed 79 times, 31 wounds to the face, 48 wounds to the neck, additional wounds to the torso, arms, and hands. Some reports would later cite the number as high as 151 wounds when including all defensive injuries. He had also been struck with the baseball bat. It was one of the most brutal attacks Aurora police had ever seen. On September 5, 2013, Isabella Guzman was formally charged as an adult with first-degree murder and 2 counts of crime of violence. She was 18. As an adult, she faced the possibility of the death penalty under Colorado law. She was held without bond at the Arapahoe County Detention Center, and when she was brought into court for her arraignment, after initially refusing to leave her cell, after having to be physically brought in, shackled at her arms and legs, she did something the cameras couldn't look away from. She smirked. She made faces at the cameras. She pointed under each eye with her index finger, a gesture no one could quite interpret. Watch her? No tears? I see you? Some theorized it was connected to her delusion that her eye color didn't match the photos of Isabella Guzman. Whatever it meant, it was eerie, detached, unsettling in a way that was hard to articulate. That footage would sit in news archives for 7 years. In 2020, it would resurface on TikTok, set to sweet but psycho, viewed millions of times, spawning fan edits and a bizarre online following. People called her pretty, made memes, romanticized her. The victim, Yunmi Hoi, a woman who had worked at a photography studio, who had brought McDonald's home for her husband on the last night of her life, was barely mentioned. But in September 2013, none of that had happened yet. Isabella was a defendant, and the question that would define the legal case was not whether she had done it. Everyone agreed she had done it. The question was why, and what you do with why. In December 2013, Isabella's attorneys entered a not guilty by reason of insanity plea. She was ordered to undergo psychiatric evaluation at the Colorado Mental Health Institute in Pueblo. That's when the truth came out. Dr. Richard Pounds, a forensic psychiatrist, evaluated Isabella thoroughly. His findings were unambiguous. Isabella Guzman suffered from paranoid schizophrenia with profound psychotic symptoms. The diagnosis wasn't a stretch. It was, looking back, inevitable. She had been experiencing delusions for years. when the voices had been commanding her for at least a month before the murder. She would stare into space and converse with people who weren't there. She laughed at herself for no visible reason. Her mind had been constructing a parallel reality for a long time, and no one had caught it. The core delusion was this: Isabella believed her mother was not Yunmi Hoi. She believed her mother was a woman named Cecilia, an astral being who was cursed. And she believed that if she did not kill Cecilia, the world would end. The voices told her so. She was acting on a direct command to save humanity. Think about everything you just watched in that interrogation room through that lens. The demands to be fingerprinted, the insistence on DNA testing, the calm, flat certainty that they had the wrong girl, the complete absence of guilt or remorse. She wasn't performing. She wasn't calculating. She genuinely believed she was Samantha Gonzalez, a runaway from Cincinnati who had never harmed anyone. In her mind, the woman who had died in that bathroom wasn't her mother. The woman who had died was Cecilia, and Cecilia had to die. The email addressed to Cecilia, sent hours before the murder, wasn't an accidentally misdirected message. It was sent to the entity Isabella believed her mother had become. "You will pay" wasn't a threat to a person. It was a declaration to a demon. Dr. Pounds testified that once Isabella was placed on antipsychotic medication, the transformation was dramatic. Within weeks, the hallucinations stopped, the delusions faded, and Isabella began, slowly, painfully, to understand what she had done, what she had actually done, not to Cecilia, to her mother. The horror of that realization was its own kind of sentence. On June 26, 2014, Isabella appeared in Arapahoe County District Court for a hearing on her insanity plea. District Attorney George Brauchler, the prosecutor, stood up and did something extraordinarily rare. He conceded. "We punish people who make decisions to do wrong when they knew better and they could have done something differently. And in this particular case, I am convinced, based on the evidence that I've seen and the information that's been presented in court, that this woman did not know right from wrong, and she could not have acted differently than she did, given the significant schizophrenia and paranoid delusions, audible, as visual hallucinations that she was going through." Chief Deputy District Attorney Ann Tomsich added, "We are conceding that the defendant was insane at the time. Let that register. Not guilty by reason of insanity." Isabella Guzman was found not guilty of murder, and she was committed indefinitely to the Colorado Mental Health Institute in Pueblo, to remain there until, and only until, she was no longer deemed a threat to herself or others. Not a day less, not a day more. All of it contingent on the judgment of doctors, courts, and the slow, uncertain work of psychiatric medicine. But the story was far from over. 7 years passed. In November 2020, Isabella, now 25 years old, appeared in a virtual interview with CBS Colorado. She petitioned for release.
"I was not myself when I did that, and I have since been restored to full health."
She said medication had given her back her mind, that she was no longer dangerous, that she understood what she had done, and that the weight of it would never leave her. Think about that, the weight of knowing she brutally killed her own loving mother, a burden she will carry for the rest of her life. That alone is its own kind of torture.
"I was abused at home by my family for many years. My parents are Jehovah's Witnesses, and I left the religion when I was 14, and the abuse at home worsened after I quit."
She reiterated allegations of abuse. She disclosed that in 2015, while at the facility, she had been sexually assaulted by a hospital employee, 3 incidents involving the same person. She said she had filed a police report, though prosecution was deemed difficult. Her full release request was denied. But in June 2021, a judge granted Isabella conditional privileges. She was allowed to leave the facility for outpatient group therapy and other structured treatments. She was required to wear a GPS tracker in public at all times. It was not freedom. It was a carefully measured step, supervised by the state, contingent on continued compliance and stability. Isabella Guzman is currently 30 years old and remains committed to the Colorado Mental Health Hospital at Pueblo with those conditional release privileges. There are no reports of full release, no indication that the court considers the risk resolved. She undergoes periodic evaluations. The door is open, barely, conditionally, revocably, but she has not walked through it. Experts who have studied this case return to one sentence again and again. If Isabella had been properly diagnosed and treated earlier, Yunmi Hoi might still be alive. That is the tragedy underneath the crime. Not that Isabella was evil, even not that she was a monster, but that a young woman with an untreated, undetected illness reached a point of total psychotic break, and a woman died because of it. The not guilty by reason of insanity verdict is not a loophole. It is the legal system's acknowledgement of something real, that criminal responsibility requires the ability to distinguish right from wrong, and that schizophrenia, at its most severe, can destroy that capacity entirely. What Isabella needed was not a prison cell. It was a diagnosis, and it came years too late. The courts will continue to review her case periodically. They will assess whether she remains a danger. They will determine if and when she might be ready to reintegrate into society. But for now, she remains committed, a cautionary tale about untreated mental illness, a reminder of the devastating consequences when severe psychiatric disorders go unrecognized, and a symbol of the complex intersection between criminal justice and mental health care.